Hey, Mike the Disgruntled Mechanic here. The project in the Disgruntled Mechanic garage today is the 2017 Chevrolet Trax. And we got a code in her. So what we did was we got the code out of it already. And it is the P0171, the fuel trim system lean. There you can see that. With this particular vehicle, as I know, there are quite a few things that can cause that code. So we're going to go through some of them and do some of the tests to find out what actually is causing this. But let's get started and get going. So one of the first things you can do is check the obvious. Your oil dipstick, your cap, just make sure that those are tight and there's nothing leaking in there. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cover off. So with the engine warm, which it is, what you want to check next is, and you can actually hear it, one of the common problems is the PCV valve, and the PCV vent in the front of the valve will actually be sucking air right in because there's a little diaphragm in there which gets shot, and then it sucks air in, and then this whole cam cover has to be replaced. So what we're going to do is you could take smoke or you could take a little piece of tissue and see if it draws it in. You can also listen, but we'll start this up and we'll see if we hear it, we'll see if we feel it, and then we'll get a piece of tissue and see if it draws it in. We'll see what happens. She sounds a little rough, but anyhow, I don't hear or feel any vacuum there. So we'll just put a little piece of tissue. It's not even trying to pull it in, so we're not going to bother with the smoke. I feel pretty confident everything's okay there. So the next thing to check is back here. Let me zoom in and move you just a little bit, and maybe you can see a little more of what I'm doing, but you'll get a good view here in a bit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this hose off, and we're going to see if the non-return valve is still in the intake where it's supposed to be. We got to remove this hose to go down in there and look, so we're going to do that next. Now I'll just show you here quickly what we're looking for is where this arrow is going. We're looking for that little red nipple to be inside there still. If that's gone, then we got a problem. Then there's some different things you can do, but the main one probably is you have to replace the intake. So let's take this hose off and we'll see if that is actually in there. Alright, so we got a clip to take off. We got a clamp to release there, and a clamp to release here. And then we'll pull this hose off. And what we'll do is we're going to do this the easy way to see if that's in there. So I don't know how well this is going to show up using the camera here to show this. But I am back down into that hole there, and you can see there's black gunk around it, but there is our orange tip. So that would appear that that's not the problem either, because it still appears to be intact as the picture shows it should be. So the next thing we're going to go for is the purge solenoid valve. Now, that is supposed to be in a normally closed position. So if we unhook the pipe and we unhook the connector, we should have hear no vacuum and have no vacuum on this side coming from, you know, the intake on the opposite side. So we'll remove this. Okay, we'll remove these, the electrical connector, I think. And we'll remove the hose. And now that should stay closed with the engine running, and we'll see if we have any vacuum over here, which we shouldn't. Of course, I'm going to put this pipe back on and put this back together because that didn't appear to be our problem. And we'll button that all up. And then we'll proceed to start this up and test this and see if there's any vacuum, or if we have a vacuum. I don't know if you can hear that. But we definitely have a vacuum leak there. You can hear it and feel it. And the engine was running very rough. But what we'll do to prove it, we'll put the vacuum gauge on. Oh boy, look at that. Well, I think there's your problem. So what we'll do is, since we have it unhooked, we'll just get a new one. We'll put our new one on, and then we'll see how we make out with having no vacuum and go from there. So we'll install the new one. Put it on. Start the car up. So to me, the engine sounds better on startup already. And we have no vacuum. Okay. Let's shut her off and then I'll tell you where we're going to go. So let's button everything back up. Hook everything back up. We'll clear the codes. We'll look at our fuel trims and see how they look. Now, that's a definite problem. The only thing is, I had cleared the codes in this and it takes a while for them to come back. So I really am not going to be able to tell you if I'm going to get the code back or not until it's ran. But we do know that was definitely a problem, because that should not have been happening. The only thing I did was I cleared all the codes. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to check our fuel trims to see what they look like. I have everything hooked back up like it should be, except the cover put on, the engine cover, but we'll get to that. So let's get to our fuel trims and we'll see what that shows. So our long-term fuel trim is at 12 and our short term's at bouncing between -4 and for that long-term fuel trim still seems a bit high to me. But I think I can reset the fuel trims. I'm going to do that and then we'll see what happens. So on the Foxwell i70 Pro, you can go into configure reset functions, and we're going to go into fuel trim reset, and we're going to tell it to reset, and let's see what happens. And the fuel trims are still sort of whacked. I'm going to do a smoke test. So let me get things hooked up and we'll smoke away. So we got our easy intake plugged in, and we got our hose into here. Let's get her making some smoke. Alrighty, and this is the red line smoke detector that I'm using. So let's pop this in. Smoke them if you got them. Let me zoom you in here. But there was a slight wisp of smoke coming out right here. And I don't see it now. We'll tighten up on the hose clamp and we'll see what that does. But there was definitely smoke coming out of there. If that doesn't help, I'll probably pull it off. But we'll just see about tight. Oh, there it is. There it was. There was just a slight wisp of smoke. I don't know if I caught that or not. Let's tighten that up, and we'll tighten it up as tight as we can, see if our fuel trims change, and go from there. So, as you can see, our fuel trims are still not good. Long terms at 15 and short terms at 3. So I know this isn't necessarily a test that proves that the MAF sensor is bad, but I'm going to unplug the MAF sensor and see if our numbers change. So what we'll do is we'll let our short term and our long term settle out here a bit and see what they do. So that's certainly better. Is that enough to call a MAF? Well, I'm thinking so, and I'm thinking I'm going to replace it. So one of the things I decided to try, because I don't have a MAF sensor here and I have to get one, is we'll try cleaning it. Is it worth it? Well, I really don't know. But we'll try cleaning the MAF sensor and see if that helps. I'm still getting a new one, even if cleaning does help. So let's take it out and we'll just clean it with some of our Napper Clean MAF Mass Airflow Sensor Cleaner stuff. So basically all I'm going to do is spray it around in here, both sides, and we'll put it back in and we'll see. So we cleaned the MAF sensor as per the manufacturer's instructions. So let's reinstall it and then we'll give it a try. So after letting the vehicle set for a while and just idle here, we got short trims of bouncing between 3 and -4 and a long term of 0. It was on 0 for the longest time, so now since I put it on camera it went to -1. But anyhow, as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with that. With saying that, I am still getting a new MAF sensor. We're putting that in, so we'll get back when we do that. So this is the part number, GM AC Delco part number, genuine GM, direct from Amazon. So I'm just going to put this in. You've seen me take it out. There's not much to it. 2 screws and the connector. We'll do that quick, and then we'll fire it up, and we'll take a look at the long term and short term, and hope we can wrap this baby up. And just one more quick note, if I didn't mention it, the code has not came back in like 2 weeks of driving after I cleaned it, but I still feel better just putting a brand new mass airflow in. So there's our numbers, 4 or 5, bouncing around a little bit. I'm going to hit the reset for the fuel trims. And we'll let it go a while and see what happens. So there you have it. That is fixing the P0171 on a 2017 Chevrolet Trax. It has the 1.4 LUV engine. This engine is in some other vehicles, so you could have this code on other vehicles, and the same fixes may apply. One thing to keep in mind is some of these things are covered under GM's emissions warranty. So it'd be best to look into that. Actually, the one part that I replaced, I think it was, but we just wanted to get it fixed and we wanted to make you a video, so we just did it. So anyhow, this is Mike the Disgruntled Mechanic saying, just remember, if you can get somebody else to do it, you're probably better off. See ya.
Oh, you dirty, rotten bolt! How could you break off? You dirty, rotten mother! Oh, dirty, rotten! How dare you break? Oh, I can't believe it broke off! Not again! Oh, man alive! Son of a... Oh, I can't believe it broke off! Jesus! No wonder I'm the disgruntled mechanic!